Hey guys, I haven't done one of these videos in a while. I posted an AMA on my Instagram story. If you want to see that does happen from time to time. It's Ask a Music Snob. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram. Let's not waste any time and just get into it. If I'm using the guitarrig plugin due to a small budget, would playing live be compromised? Not necessarily. Most amp simulation nowadays is pretty good. The real issue comes with impulse responses or cab simulation. That's where you're going to get some of the weirdness and the fakeness. 9 times out of 10, it'll do the job just fine, but if you're really that particular about it, use your laptop, run it through a power amp that goes through a cabinet that you have yourself, and it'll sound pretty much awesome. But no, people use virtual rigs all the time. One of the things that's used extremely frequently with gigging guitar players is Kemper and Axe Effects. It's basically a different brand of your guitar rig, but in a big piece of hardware. Do you think we push the limit of what rock can be, or can it somehow evolve? It's already evolving before our eyes. I guess you're asking, at what point does it stop being rock and become something new? It's an excellent question. But considering how wide of an umbrella that rock has cast nowadays, I think we're just going to continue to see it evolve with its subgenres, like metal being a subgenre of rock, and then metal having its own subgenres, and then crossover from different genres like country music or hip hop. Plain and simple, I think we are a long way off from seeing the end of the evolution of rock. Have I ever seen Dream Theater live, and was it worth it? Yes, I have, and it absolutely was. I think it's worth it for everyone to see Dream Theater live. While it might not be the thing that most easily gets you off, or like the greatest show that you've ever seen, in your opinion, I honestly believe that they are such good performers and they have such good compositions. It is worth seeing that live to be like, holy crap, human beings are playing this right in front of me right now. Recently begun playing guitar, acoustic. Should I practice scales or learn songs? Please help. The simple answer is yes. The better answer is don't feel like you have to do something, just play what you get enjoyment out of. When I started learning scales and different types of chords, I got enjoyment out of learning them because I knew that it was a tool that would take me to the next step in my development. Nowadays, if I learn a song, I have to really love whatever this specific part is enough to want to dive into it. It's typically a pretty complicated thing. I find that the parts of songs that inspire you the most to pick up the guitar are the ones that you want to learn. Basically, whatever promotes you having the best time on your instrument, whether that's doing things that are incredibly difficult and trying to overcome them, or whether that's a simple, smooth jam that you just do calmly and enjoy yourself, do it. Are there any new products from NAMM that you got your eye on? No. I don't really go to NAMM to ogle over the gear. I'm not much of a gearhead myself, honestly. I go to check out some of what's happening a little bit, check out some smaller brands I can discover and hopefully create some relationships with, and mostly just seeing people that I haven't seen in a long time or making new relationships with other musicians and YouTubers. Also, a huge perk of NAMM is getting to meet you guys in person, in real life. Even something as simple as getting a wave or getting a point being like, hey, love your content. Like, that is so rewarding. It really is. And thank you to everyone that came and said hi at NAMM. As a believer in God, what is your approach to listening to satanic music? He gives an example of bands like Behemoth. Most satanic music I hate, not because it's satanic, but because it usually sounds like shit. The first satanic band I ever listened to and actually enjoyed was Merciful Fate. I still get down with some of their grooves every once in a while. And a lot of times, I just don't pay attention to lyrics. That has nothing to do with it being satanic or literally anything else. I just don't pay attention to lyrics. I actually had an idea of taking several of these Merciful Fate songs and rewriting the lyrics to be a Christian-oriented theme. First of all, just to tell them to fuck off. If you're gonna play the satanic card just to piss off Christians, then you should be able to take people doing Christian stuff to try and piss you off. Or you're a bigger, floppier, more sandblasted vagina than we thought you were. If it really makes you that uncomfortable, then don't listen to it. I don't take the satanic part away from that music. Whenever I listen to it, I take away the musical value of it, which in my personal opinion has nothing to do with Satan. Any good starting point to get into music theory? I've been playing guitar for 5 years. Start with the absolute basics. Like, for example, what are the notes? The notes are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, repeat. That is a key component of music theory. If your first thought was, duh, I know that, then good. You know something about music theory. What's the next thing that you need to know? There's so many good sources on this stuff. I mean, Music Theory for Dummies is an easy one. There's courses up the butt. This is not me plugging a friend's thing because he's my friend. He did not sponsor this either, but honestly, Samurai Guitarist has a very good program kind of guiding young guitar players into a more intermediate world of guitar with his, I forget what it's called. He has a course, an online course. His Samurai School. Hey! He integrates guitar playing and theory together in his course, and I think it's a very good course. I highly recommend it. Can pickups be installed incorrectly so that they work, but just not as good? Not sure what the hell you mean, but let's explain pickups really quick. So for the guitar plebs among us, these little guys under the strings here, right here, these are pickups. This particular variety of pickup is called a humbucker that has 2 coils on each pickup. You can have a soap bar pickup, a single coil pickup, which would just be one of these. Can they be installed incorrectly? In quotes, there is a way that they can be installed incorrectly because a height of a pickup nearer or further away from the string is adjustable with installation and also after installation. The closer it is to the string, the more signal it will pick up from the string. The further away, the less signal it'll pick up from the string. So that's one way you could say it's incorrectly installed. Another way is with the pickup selector here. For instance, if I'm on the bridge pickup portion of the selector, that is only this pickup, this one is turned off. That is how it is wired right here. Now let's pull it back up here. Now both pickups are engaged. Here's the thing. Some pickup selectors have a 5-way switch, so you can have it on the bridge and then in between bridge and neck, which would mean you have both of these activated and one of these activated, or vice versa. If it's halfway in between neck and bridge in this direction, it'd be both neck and then one of the bridge activated. There are multiple different ways of wiring the pickup selector so that it does different things. Is it possible that somebody installed it incorrectly or that your pickups are not made to complement one another? Yeah, it's very possible, but I have no idea of knowing without hearing or seeing your guitar. Will Crusade come up to the Cleveland area? I'd love to see you guys. So we are having plans of making some very small tours throughout this year and next year. We booked a show in Atlanta for May, and we're trying to turn it into a weekender by going up to South Carolina for one show and then come back home. We're also looking at doing Chicago and St. Louis, probably late summertime, but we'll see. And I have my eyes on a Northeastern tour, a Texas tour, a Florida tour. These would all be very small to start out. To answer your question, I don't know. I don't know what our draw would be in the Cleveland area or if it's worth us coming through at that point. But who knows? We've talked about during this Northeastern tour making a stop through Ohio to kind of make it worth our time taking that long drive. When is new material from Crusade coming out? That will be sometime this year. I don't know exactly when, but it will be sometime this year. I originally wanted to have an album out in October of last year. That was the stupidest thing I had ever said publicly. That's probably an exaggeration. I've said a lot of stupid things publicly. Point is, I feel like I rushed to get that single out so I could at least keep some of my word of saying there would be some music in 2019. And I don't want to do that again. I was hoping we would have an album out in the next few months, and I was just like, there's no way. There's no freaking way. Anyone who follows Crusade on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter already knows that I have basically said, hey, we need to push off the time it's going to take us to finish this album because we need to focus and make sure that our live show is very well put together. And we also need to make sure that we don't rush through the writing or production process to make sure that we give you a badass album. That's a long answer, short answer, not 100% sure, but should be this year. Advice to someone moving to Nashville for guitar. That is such a broad thing to say that I have no idea what the you're moving here for. Are you moving here because your significant other is a guitar and they moved here, therefore you feel obligated to move here? Are you moving here to be a guitar player being hired by somebody else? Are you moving here as a guitar player, singer, songwriter, but you're primarily a lyricist and vocalist? Are you moving here because you're a metalhead or a rock musician who plays guitar but also wants to do your own creative thing on the side? So I guess my advice to you is figure out what the you want to do. Now, my real advice to you is this is an extraordinarily competitive town. And do not overestimate your abilities, and do not underestimate the amount of work and perseverance it's going to take to make any type of career in this town. A lot of people more talented than me have given up and gone home. About 80% of the battle is keeping at it. So keep at it. From my friend Sean Daniel, go subscribe to that man. Scatman, musical genius or charlatan? Neither. I'm not sure where this came from. I know some people find Scatman John to be super annoying, but I think he's fun. I mean, would I ever listen to more than 20 minutes of Scatman John back to back? Absolutely not. But man, there's nothing better than just a little bit of I mean, shit, he was on my top 10 guilty pleasures, of course. Scatman is the man. I still wouldn't call him a musical genius, though. What are the most important parts of a live show apart from the music? I can just sum this up as one thing: audience engagement. What are you doing from the stage to connect and honestly control your audience? Even as a prog band, just standing in one place, playing notes and not moving around is really boring. Before and during our last show, we are practicing moving around and being more engaging on stage. We still have a lot of work to go, but being able to lock in chemistry-wise with one another by actually feeling the music. One of the things I noticed when I'm listening to songs that I love, I am like jamming out to it on my air guitar and like moving around with my body. It's like you need to find those parts in your songs where you feel your music moving you and do that on stage. Or different things like visual cues. There's several portions of one song where Ryan and I really link up rhythmically, and I step back from the stage and I look at him, also make sure that when you're doing that, you do this so that people can still see your face and your guitar, but you're looking at your drummer. And we're rocking out together, locking eyes and making shit happen. That's a visual cue to the audience that like, hey, this is about to get riff-a-romic. Why focus on asking questions about music instead of just enjoying it? And I replied to him, because if you don't strive to understand why, in any circumstance, there is the opportunity to be led down the path to hell paved with good intentions. Somebody asked me where I found that quote. I just said that. It seems pretty obvious to me, and one of the most obvious things in current society, and especially my generation, the lack of understanding why, the feeding into emotions. Well, emotionally speaking, you know this is wrong, right? Not necessarily. Emotions can be manipulated, as we have seen through multiple modern day movements, into doing some pretty freaking awful stuff. Your emotions are one force that guides you through your life, but they should be tempered by your frontal lobe. For instance, why does music prompt you to ask me this question as opposed to just accepting what I'm saying as fact? What about music makes you think that it should just be enjoyed as opposed to, as you would say, overanalyzed? I'm not saying either one of us is right. I'm saying that exploring that question helps you better understand yourself, helps you better understand music as an art form, helps you better understand humanity and society, and better guards you against people talking bullshit or making bullshit. Truly trying to understand why is how we preserve humanity and become better people. But yes, even I will admit there are certain points when you need to just say, because that's the way it is. I will completely agree with that. Aerosmith are overplayed too much. Redundant comment is redundant. Anyway, that is it for Ask a Music Snob. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for your support all the time. Honestly, I really cannot express how much I am absolutely honored and grateful to have the fan base that I have. If you like this video, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts on any of the stuff that I talked about. If you've already watched a couple videos and you think you're gonna watch a few more, just hit that subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss anything. You can also support me on Subscribestar. That is the only way I can keep making badass videos for you. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Become the Night. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next video. Rock on!